Good morning, class. Today we are looking at solving absolute value equations again. So the essential question is, how do I solve absolute value equations? My learning intention for today is, I am learning to solve absolute value equations and inequalities. We're not to the inequalities yet, but we'll get there. So you've got a warm-up question. Pause the video and solve it now, please. I hope you tried it on your own. 2 times x, that's what I did first. Then I subtracted 1, that was second. And last I divided by 5. The last thing I did was divide by 5. So the first thing I've got to do is to multiply by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. When I multiply by 1, nothing has changed. So 2x minus 1 is equal to 15. Now it's become a two-step equations, and we've done those a lot of times. Okay, 2 times x is first, minus 1 is second. The second thing I did was subtract 1. To undo it, I add 1 to both sides. 2x is equal to 16. Last step is to divide by 2. And x is equal to 8. So I hope you were able to get that on your own without any help. That means you are starting to learn algebra well. To solve an absolute value equation, you need how many equations, because there are how many numbers the same distance from what number? So, how many equations? 2. Because there are 2 numbers the same distance from 0. So remember, your absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. It is never negative, because you cannot have a negative distance without going back in time. Okay, so the first step is also always to isolate the variable. Is it isolated? Yes. Now I set up those 2 equations. 3x minus 5 is equal to 10. That's my positive side. Or 3x minus 5 is equal to negative 10. You've got 2 equations that look alike, except one's with a positive 10 and one's with a negative 10. You do solve them in exactly the same manner. Draw your line. First thing I did was take x and multiply it by 3, and then I subtracted 5. Subtracting 5 was the last thing I did, so to undo that, I add 5. 3x is equal to 15. To undo that, I divide by 3. And the first x is equal to 5. Same thing again. What I did over here, I'm going to repeat on the other equation. It won't look the same when I get done, though. So 3x is equal to negative 5. Divide by 3. And x is equal to negative 5/3. And that's how we leave it. It cannot be simplified. We're done. Okay, can you set up the 2 equations on the next problem? It is isolated by itself already, so now all we have to do is set the equations up. I hope you tried. 2x plus 6 is equal to 9, or 2x plus 6 is equal to negative 9. Draw the line. I've added 6 last, so I'll subtract 6 to begin with. I want to get that 2x by itself. 2x is equal to 3. Now I divide by 2. X is equal to 3 halves. 4. Same thing again. Subtract 6. 2x is equal to negative 15. Negative 9 plus negative 6, or negative 9 minus 6 more, is negative 15. So I divide by 2, and x is equal to negative 15 halves, or negative 15 divided by 2. Do we simplify? No. It's in simplified form. It is an improper fraction, and that is okay. So are you ready for the next page? If not, back up the video and watch the first page again. Step 1, is it isolated? Yes. Step 2, write out both of your equations. 4x minus 5 divided by 3 is equal to 9, or 4x minus 5 divided by 3 is equal to negative 9. To get rid of that fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. Instead of 1 over 3, it becomes 3 over 1. So I will do that on both sides of my equation. I'm going to multiply by 3, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. I have 4x minus 5 is equal to 27. Now I'm ready to start moving from side to side. I've subtracted 5. I need to add 5 to both sides. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. I've zeroed it out on one side. 4x is equal to 32. Last step, divide by 4. And x is equal to 8. Okay, so look at that. Make sure you understand. To get rid of the fraction, we multiply by that denominator. Because when we do that, we've got one number divided by itself, which gives us 1. When we multiply by 1, we don't change anything. Remember, when we're using these absolute values, we still do the same thing twice. The numbers are different, but we do the same technique twice. Multiply by 3. Multiply by 3. That cancels out. 4x minus 5 is equal to negative 27. Add 5. Negative 5 and 5 is 0. I've gotten rid of it there. 4x is equal to negative 22. Divide by 4. X is equal to negative 22 over 4. Okay, 22 and 4 are both even numbers, so I know I have to simplify. So I am going to divide top and bottom by 2, because 2 over 2 is 1. Once again, I'm using things that are equal to 1. So this is equal to negative 11 over 2, and I'm done. So I don't know if you realize, but when you're doing this, you're dividing by 1. That's why it works when you simplify fractions. Okay, pause the video and take a look at this one, and see if we can do this next one on our own. I hope you didn't go very far. This is a negative 11. So what that means, there is no solution. I have no solution because a distance is never negative. When we did our steps in solving, remember the first one was to isolate. The second one was to make sure that the number on the other side of our equal sign was not negative. Because if it's negative, you're done. There's no solution. Okay, on your own, can you do the last one? Pause the video. This is a positive number, so we know it can be done. This is isolated, so we know we're ready to begin. So pause the video and see if you can do the next question on your own. I do hope you tried. 17 is equal to 3x plus 5, or negative 17 is equal to 3x plus 5. How do we start? By drawing the line. I've got positive 5 here, so I'm going to subtract 5 here. 5 minus 5 is 0. I've zeroed it out. 17 minus 5 is 12, which is now equal to 3x. 3x means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. 4 is equal to x. Or, here we go, same thing again. Subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. I've zeroed it out on that side. Negative 17 plus negative 5, or negative 17 minus 5 more, is negative 22, equals 3x. When you combine, if they are the same sign, you add them and keep your sign. If they are opposite signs, you subtract and keep the sign of a larger number. That's what we did over here. These are the same sign, so we add, keep the sign there. Okay, last step is to divide by 3. Negative 22 over 3 is equal to x. Negative 22 over 3 is equal to x. 22 and 3 have no common factors, so I know it's simplified and I'm done. That is how we will start leaving our answers in this algebra class. So for your success criteria, I know I am successful when I can find the solutions to an absolute value equation or inequality. And this is simply solving absolute values. Remember, two equations and not negative. You always check this after you have isolated the absolute value.